Tonight's big stories. President Marcos tells Bloomberg the threat from China is growing, but no, we're not poking the bear.
Authorities run into some challenges trying to repatriate 63 Filipinos from Haiti as gang violence escalates there. The DFA raises alert level 3 in the Caribbean island nation.
And the lower house overwhelmingly approves on third and final reading the bill seeking to revoke the franchise of SMNI.
Welcome to the show. I'm Regina.
I'm Maricel Halili.
And I'm Shawn.
We're not poking the bear. That's not me. That's what President Marcos told Bloomberg in an exclusive interview when asked about tensions with China. And he means to say that we're not deliberately provoking them or acting under the orders of Washington.
The threat has grown. And since the threat has grown, we must do more to defend our territory. We have not instigated any kind of conflict. We have not instigated any kind of confrontation. We want to do everything we possibly can, together with our partners and allies, to avoid that situation whatsoever. This is not poking the bear, as it were. We are trying to do quite the opposite. We're trying to keep things at a manageable level.
The president also gave a more definitive answer to the question of what would trigger the Mutual Defense Treaty with the United States.
That's an incursion, for example, to occupy. Which has already happened, but we're still trying to keep it peaceful. But you see, we avoid, as I said, we think about peace in the national interest. It does not serve any purpose to heighten tensions, to say, okay, I am invoking now the Mutual Defense Treaty. And that I don't think anyone wants that, unless the effects are such that it is a threat. It will become an existential threat to the country. Then I think it's very easy to say that would trigger the Mutual Defense Treaty, the agreement between the United States and the Philippines.
Marcos hopes it wouldn't come to that, though. He acknowledged the support of the United States as a defense ally, but maintained that Manila is not acting at the Americans' behest, contrary to China's accusation.
Thus far, we can say that the United States has been certainly very supportive in every way, and it has the United States has really shown that it takes very seriously these agreements that we have, and so, but it is dangerous for one to think in terms of when something goes wrong, we'll run to Big Brother. That's not the way we treat it at all. I say we do this for ourselves. We do this because we feel that we have to do it, and it's not at the behest or of the United States.
When U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken was here yesterday, he underscored Washington's quote-unquote ironclad commitment to the Philippines. And when Marcos was in Australia a couple of weeks ago for a summit with ASEAN leaders, he said standing up to China was not a policy choice. He just had to do it. In response to Blinken, Beijing said the United States has no right to interfere in the South China Sea and that the Philippines' claims are illegal.
That's pretty consistent. They have always said that the Philippines' claims are illegal, and also the fact that the BRP Sierra Madre is there. Right?
To be fair, China has been pretty consistent. In fact, I always complain here na paulit-ulit na lang, diba? They always say the same thing. To be fair to us, the Marcos administration has also been pretty consistent
Both
with the
sides
filing.
are consistent. Every time we issue statements, it feels like we've said it before. They've said it before. They think we're encroaching on their waters. We think they're encroaching into our territory and also causing all these dangerous maneuvers, right? But anyways, yesterday we were also talking about about the bear, poking the bear. Kasi nga, we were talking to geopolitical analyst Don McLean Gill, and we asked him about President Marcos saying that we're not poking the bear, and this is what he had to say about that.
We've never sought to poke the bear, per se. I mean, what we are doing is basically acting within our jurisdiction, but it's actually the bear that is trying to poke us. In this regard, of course, we are still acting with civility. We have always maintained the moral high ground, but at the same time, we have pursued our interests based on pragmatic operations. But the thing is, China has been showing discontent time and time and again.
Remember though, guys, that 2 weeks ago in that Australia trip and speaking at the Lowy Institute, Marcos said that we will continue to engage with China on mutual interests, but also push back if the Philippines' sovereignty is ignored or questioned. He called the Philippines' alliance with the United States a pillar of regional stability, but also cited centuries of friendship and kinship between Filipino and Chinese people.
But may I just add, nakikita natin yung change in strategy in this administration. This administration has been trying to get more support from the international community every time na lumilipad si Presidente abroad. Laging yun yung piece niya. Remember, after Australia, he went to Germany, he went to Czech Republic, and both of the leaders dun sa mga countries na yon, he asked for support, diba? So, in-air out niya yung position natin sa West Philippine Sea. So, it's far different from the Duterte administration
That's actually what
strategy.
I was gonna get to next, which is that you covered those trips. You were there. What was the general sentiment like? Well, how was his message received?
It was
people
not
shocked?
difficult to get the support of these European countries. Kasi prior pa naman dun sa visit ni President Bongbong Marcos sa Germany and Czech Republic, nagbigay na rin ng statement of support both Berlin and Prague dun sa implementation of UNCLOS, of the international law, rules-based order, di ba? Sinasabi nila sa West Philippine Sea. So when President Bongbong Marcos brought it up during the bilateral meeting of President Scholz and of course dun sa Czech Republic,
Pavel.
yeah, si Peter Pavel, nakuha agad niya yung suporta. And they assured the Philippines na they also want the international law to be implemented in the region.
To be honest, I was quite surprised when the Czech Prime Minister through his support, expressing full support for the Philippines to quote-unquote freely navigate the South China Sea, because I didn't realize that they would have also such a deep understanding of the maritime tensions here. But he said what happens there affects everywhere. It affects the world.
Totoo, because it's a major, again, major trade route, major daanan rin ng mga barko. Especially now, kung titignan natin yung nagyayari sa Yemen. So, na-block off, may gulo doon, di ba? Maraming route to the South China Sea. Now, kung wala yung South China Sea, it will block off Australia, that whole continent. So that's why these guys are like all in, I think, in helping us, because we can see we're suffering high prices because of like small things that can happen. Kala mo walang connection sa'yo, but I guess globalization has brought us here. And in fact, the first ever trilateral leaders meeting, which is happening next month, April 11, in Washington, D.C., according to our ambassador to the United States, Babe Romualdez. He said that there is no question that domestic security or defense security is one of the main topics of conversation between the Prime Minister and President Biden, and you can be sure that is part of the whole discussion when they do meet in Washington, D.C. next month.
That was Philippines ambassador to the U.S., Babe Romualdez, when he was interviewed on our show StoryCon this afternoon. But also he said human rights might be part of it. Listen to this.
Human rights has been a concern from the United States from way back, as far back as even during the time of President Estrada and even during the time of President Ramos. And even President Cory Aquino. So it's an ongoing thing, and I think that there's a lot of developments as far as human rights are concerned, and we've moved forward since then, and we expect to have a more discussion on that one, not only with the President, but also on my level with some members of Congress.
Romualdez also gave some updates on the AFP modernization, specifically with the procurement law tweaks. According to Ambassador Romualdez, what the United States is offering is a slightly used F-16, which is coming from a third country and is in perfect shape.
And the United States is bending over backwards to get us the kind of equipment that will be compatible with theirs, so that our armed forces will be able to come up to par with our mutual defense treaty with the United States. From the last time I spoke to Senate President Trubini, he said that it's going to be passed. He expects it to be passed, that we will be able to change our procurement laws, especially in relation to the modernization of our armed forces.
Kasi we don't have enough money to pay for the brand new.
Yes.
So, pre-love na lang.
Kaya yung
Pre-love
slightly
Because
used.
we want the new ones, but we'll take whatever they give us, right?
Well, and as we were saying, no, sobrang consistent ng China with their messaging. So, of course, China also had something to say about all these recent activities between the Philippines and the U.S. They said the United States is not a party to the South China Sea issue and has no right to interfere in the maritime issues between China and the Philippines. The recent tension in the South China Sea would not have occurred without the U.S. egging on the Philippines.
I don't know that egging on is the right phrase here, because that's what they believe. They believe that we're acting at the behest of Washington, right? But certainly one thing that you can't dispute is the United States has really embraced the Philippines and Southeast Asia in general. I mean, look at the recent string of arrivals, right?
Yes.
You had Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, you had Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo. Last year, there was Vice President Kamala Harris, and then before that, there was Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. This, by the way, is Secretary of State Blinken's second visit to under the time of President Marcos. So talagang, it feels like there's in his words, it's in hyperdrive. Diba? The relationship is in hyperdrive. You also covered this a lot, Mase. How does it feel to you on the ground?
Tama yung observation mo, especially kasi the timing eh. We all know na tumataas yung aggression, yung tension sa West Philippine Sea. So if walang ganong klase ng situation sa West Philippine Sea, hindi mo lalagyan ng malisya yung pagbisita ng US
You're
officials
right.
dito. But because of what's happening in the West Philippine Sea, syempre magkakaroon ka ng interpretation na, okay, showing
So,
of
hindi siya
alliance, showing of collaboration.
So hindi siya egging on,
cooperation.
it's more of which came first, the chicken or the egg.
or I mean, maybe not egging on. I don't know that
Yeah.
egging on is the right phrase. But yun nga, it's they're also sending signal out there to the international community. Hey, the Philippines is an ally. The Philippines is a partner. Sabi nga ni Secretary Blinken, we're underscore ironclad commitment to you. He said that a number of times.
Pero Reg,
parang
from
for
the
a-
other side rin, from China's side, isipin mo na lang, there's so many narratives now out there on social media. It's just everywhere, di ba? What with Israel, etc., Ukraine. Sasabihin nila, yung US yung may kasalanan. A lot of people are saying that sila yung nagpa-fund ng gulo, sila yung nagpa-fund ng war. So there is that kind of may mga naniniwala sa school of thought na yon, and therefore, hindi rin weird for me na China is saying that the US is egging us on. Kumbaga, given the circumstances, it's believable. Now, speaking of China, the Philippine Space Agency is warning of possible debris from a Chinese rocket falling in some parts of the country. PhilSA projects that the rocket debris could have landed somewhere along the coast of Vigan in Ilocos Sur or Catanduanes. The debris from the launch of China's Long March 8 rocket from the Wenchang spacecraft launch site at 8:30 a.m. earlier today. This rocket contains a satellite that will allow Earth-to-Moon communications in China's upcoming lunar mission. Local authorities have reminded the public to immediately report sightings of rocket debris. They're warning people not to touch or go near the debris, as these may contain harmful chemicals.
Authorities are struggling to repatriate some 63 Filipinos from Haiti, which is in the throes of a humanitarian crisis.
We are partnering with the DFA and the Philippine Embassy. Right now, may difficulty, no? Saradong international airport, and even land travel is hindered, lalo na yung travel to the capital. So sa ngayon, quietly, sinasaayos pa yung yung chartered flight pa uwi.
The 63 Filipinos have asked the government to bring them home because of widespread gang violence. International media have reported about gang members looting homes in upscale neighborhoods in Port-au-Prince, forcing residents to flee. There are also reports of dozens of dead bodies lying in the streets and major infrastructure damaged. Haiti's Prime Minister Ariel Henry has already announced he will resign upon the demand of the gang members. The Department of Foreign Affairs has raised alert level 3 in Haiti, signifying voluntary repatriation. Around 115 Filipinos live and work in the Caribbean island nation.
We'll be pausing for a quick break for now. Right after that, we'll be speaking to ASA Philippines President and CEO Kamrul Tarafder about their partnership with the PLDT-Smart Foundation as they work to close the digital literacy and financial inclusion gap in the Philippines. Keep it here on One News.
You're still watching The Big Story here on One News.
The PLDT-Smart Foundation has renewed its partnership with ASA or ASA Philippines, a nonprofit specializing in microfinance. The two are teaming up to roll out a number of initiatives to empower and upskill indigent communities nationwide, such as the Smart School in a Bag, the Multimedia Van Project, and the Smart Cards. The first two cater to underprivileged students. The Smart School in a Bag is a backpack equipped with a laptop for the teacher, pocket Wi-Fi, training modules, and 10 laptops for the children. While the Multimedia Van is essentially a mobile digital library equipped with TVs, laptops, and printers that will travel from province to province. These two aim to close the gap for last-mile schools in areas lacking digital infrastructure. The Smart Cards, on the other hand, will seek to equip micro entrepreneurs, particularly women, with the tools that they need to start small businesses for extra income. And on hand to sign the 2-year memorandum of agreement were PLDT-Smart Foundation Chair Manny Pangilinan and ASA Philippines President and CEO Kamrul Tarafder. Well, you didn't see it in the video there, but Mr. Pangilinan was on hand to sign the MOA. But also here tonight to talk more about this initiative, we have in the studio live with us ASA Philippines President and CEO, Mr. Kamrul Tarafder. Thanks for being with us tonight, sir. It's been a long day for you.
No. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, and thank you for having me here.
Okay, I know Regina was with you in the event earlier today,
No.
but for other people who do not understand it, let's try to get to know ASA or ASA, what you guys do, before we dive into the partnership with Smart.
Yeah, ASA Philippines Foundation is an NGO established here in the Philippines in August 2004. So we are just little over 19 years, not yet 20, but by the end of July, it will be 20 years old. We provide microfinances to the ladies across the country. You know, 19 years ago, I started with 3 staff, and on the first month, 3 and 4, including myself, 4 of us, we look for ladies who could give loan for their businesses, and we recruited only 2 clients. And we celebrated for these 2 clients 19 years ago with the dream that someday these 2 clients would become 2 million clients. So today we are serving across the country from Itbayat of Batanes to Sitangkay of Tawi-Tawi, catering to 2.2 million families. If you look at the total population, it is almost 11 million populations we are serving for their micro businesses, for their water and sanitation, for their home improvement, or in some cases, build up of small houses for them, and for education program for their children, so on and so forth. Their healthcare system.
But actually,
so on and so
sir,
forth.
it's right there. We dug up the numbers. As you said, 2.2. You have more than 2.2 million borrowers or
Yes, correct.
clients now.
Yeah.
More than 1,700 branches,
Yes,
and really
branches.
impressive. You've disbursed more than 42 or almost 42.8 billion pesos in loans.
Well, 42.58 billion pesos. It's the loan outstanding, but actual disbursement in
Okay.
last year alone was 125 billion pesos.
Oh wow! So that's just outstanding.
It's just only outstanding.
Okay.
And out of that 128 billion pesos, 10% of it was actually malasakit program. We call it malasakit, it's a compassion, meaning it has no charges. In Islamic term, we call it qard al-hasan. We give this to the client in the event of calamities, when they face to recover the business. In the pandemic period, we also gave malasakit program to the clients. So malasakit alone, we have given around 25 billion pesos over the last 4 years.
Okay, sorry. Before we go further to this particular project, I just find it interesting.
Right.
Why do you focus on women, on ladies? How does this kind of advocacy started?
Well, of course, I'm the one of the co-founders, and it is my actually dream. And Ambassador D of ASA Foundation gave Mrs. Aquino also came into the wing at a later, at the early stage. Her family was involved so long she was alive. But why we're focusing to the ladies, it's actually philosophy, my personal philosophy. I came from a home of my mom, and I realized that my mother had the greatest contribution in my life. And the irony in our society is the ladies in this country are still marginalized, particularly at the downtrodden populations. So we thought that we should be doing best for the ladies. And there are international studies that if you give money to the lady, you are sure enough, 95% or over 95%, that the money shall be utilized for the benefit of the children and the rest of the family members. But if you give it to the tatay, you are not sure even 75%. So given our limited resources, we started with a very small amount of grant contribution came, including PLDT. Very little. So limited resources, why you should be giving to the sector, we know already 25%, it will not be successful.
Kabrul, I'm curious, you mentioned you started with giving loans to 2 ladies 19 years ago. Are you still in touch with them now?
Yes,
Are
yes.
they still around?
They're still.
Well, how are
there.
they doing?
They're doing very great. They attended our anniversary, on the 15th year's anniversary. We still celebrated with them. We're very happy to see them.
Well, as they
still
say,
there.
when women are able to fully participate in the economy, everyone benefits, right? So
Yeah.
I guess it's a good strategy that you've got going there. But specifically with this new partnership that you've renewed with the PLDT-Smart Foundation, you're focusing on three things now. We're talking about smart school in a bag, the mobile van project, and the smart carts.
Smart, yeah.
Talk us through each one of them and why, how the idea came about.
Well, before I go there, I have to give the background how we actually signed into this, the MOA. PLDT Smart Foundation is actually our manufacturer.
For how long now?
It's December 2008.
Okay.
We started this, and then MVP seconded some of his executives as a board member to ASA. Now, the president of PLDT Smart Foundation, Esther Santos, is actually our board member. I think she's more than 12 years now with us as a board member. So it's been quite some time we have been contemplating how do we utilize. There was a time we actually collaborated PLDT to serve their maintenance staff, security guard, but at one point we had to stop it. So we thought we should. So we realized that this is actually time. It is the digitalization time. Everybody is actually, it's a buzzword. So why not we collaborate with Smart and other Maya Bank for digital advantages. So I explored this with Esther, which we are actually formulating how to intervene it. So Esther came with a proposal that can we start a CSR program with you for your client. So we found that it's an added benefit for our client to educate their children, marginalized children, and then giving the nanas the business in a cart,
The cart.
right?
So the cart is kind of like a negosyo cart, so they can sell food
Yeah.
and whatnot, right?
Yeah. A couple of ways they can actually multiply this. So this will definitely enhance both the client's capacity, their women empowerment within the family, decision-making capacity, and of course their financial independence within the family as well as within the community. So this program is actually will be benefiting our client, particularly in the remote places.
And there's actually looking at the pictures of the cart right there.
Yes.
That's what the mock-up is. That's what it's going to look like.
These are very popular, actually. Sometimes I even see carts with the names of local politicians because they also have these kinds of projects
Where do
Yes,
we
yes.
want to deploy them?
Yeah. Well,
in faraway places around the
in
metro.
in the remote places. Metro Manila, we might do some anecdotal cases because there are several pilot projects there.
Right.
So we'll keep, but we'll try to deploy them in the remote places.
Okay.
Far
Well,
from
Any
barangays.
specific region in mind? Any specific provinces
Yeah,
in
we'll
mind?
go even as far as Mindanao, particularly Muslim Mindanao, which is the, in the any human development index, it is actually the lowest in the country. So we'll focus on that areas too. We will go to the Samar, we'll go to the Sorsogon, in those places.
The poorest
The
places
poorest.
where
Yeah.
you can find the poorest of the poor. But Kamrul, I noticed most of the programs are also children-oriented. It's not the first time I've heard of Smart School in a Bag. I have seen that previously, as well as the mobile library and the mobile multimedia van with the players and the TV and everything. Exactly what do you do for the children of these women that you're helping? I understand the microfinancing part is focused on the women, but you seem to be focusing a lot on their children as well.
Yeah.
What do you hope to get out of it? And can you tell us what goals or what benchmarks you've already crossed off your list since this partnership and rolling out these types of programs for the children?
Well, first of all, we're thankful for the partnership. We're grateful that the PLDT-Smart Foundation has taken collaboration with ASA Philippines for the benefit of the marginalized population. But on the education side, ASA Philippines provides scholarship to the children of our nanas. Our borrowers, we fondly call them our nannies, because we believe that they're truly the owner of this company. So we give scholarship. Currently, in the current year, we have around 9,000 plus scholars, college-going children with the commitment of 4 years college education. The principle is, if we can give one college graduate children in a family, it's already a poverty eradication program, because they will get a good job and they will support the parents. That will minimize the poverty within the family.
How many graduates do you have?
We have, I think, over the years of the history of the foundation, we have assisted around 60,000 plus children. But I do not have exact how many of them have graduated, but I can confidently say it's over 50% already graduated. So that's one program. The other program, which is actually iconic program today, we provide feeding program for the malnourished children. This is a program across the country also happening. We started it very recently, so we have around 9,000 children at this time. Those are undernourished, providing food, balanced food, for 120 days continuously. And we measure at the beginning and we measure at the end what was the progress. So on the education side, that's our
On the
contribution.
So you've signed the grant, the understanding with the PLDT-Smart Foundation. How soon are you looking to roll these out?
Pretty soon. As soon as possible. Within the month, we would like to roll it out. But I have to tell you proudly, I mentioned it to MVP this evening. When we started, he gave grants to ASA Philippines. This time it's actually baliktad. We gave funding to
The
PLDT-Smart Foundation so that they will give those programs to our clients.
So it's a true partnership.
Definitely. It's a mutual and reciprocal. This time we're giving 10 million, but it's only for 1 year. The following year will also this similar.
Have you got
We'll continue this.
Have you got a target in your mind in terms of how many people you want to reach?
We did not target for this year, but definitely we would like to see that this program is reaching with the business strategy for our client. It is at least 10,000. Minimum of 10,000.
You've been in the Philippines for 19 years, giving out loans to our nanays from Aparito, Holo, and beyond. But kidding aside, we all know the challenges, the basic challenges of microfinance in the country. A lot of people also use it as a buzzword of wanting to help, etc. What can you tell us about microfinance in the Philippines? What stands out to you, good or bad?
Well, to me, it's actually a prayer, because all my life has been contributed there. In the Philippines, I first time came in 1998. It's actually more than 25 years in the country. I was the UN chief consultant.
You were with the UN.
United Nations Development Program for microfinancing, teaching this technique to the other similar institution. And I realized that this country has much more potential. Being a consultant, I can do only a little. But if I could start something on my own, with the help of the local individuals, it will give more benefit. That has created ASA Philippines, and what we see the benefit today, from 2 clients to 2 million in just 19 years. So to me, microfinance is actually prayer every day that we should be helping those marginalized moms to see them that they're financially independent, they're empowered, and they're decision maker in the family, and they're taking care of the children, then eventually they're taking care of the family. And with the question, good and bad, definitely microfinance is actually good, because working or with the commitment to work with the poor community is already an extraordinary matter. And when you go there with microfinances, it makes you much more challenges. How do you collect those? How do you account those things? millions of, hundreds of millions of transactions happening just within the week, right? So in our case, the system that we have developed, it's worked very well for us. So it gave a very extraordinary good result. But there are also failure cases. There are many institutions actually failed. But in our case, we were very, very successful.
Well, you
But we are
have
very careful.
over 12,000 staff members, as
Yeah.
the graphic says.
Yeah.
Do you use these to vet your, how do you call them, loaners?
Well,
And to collect also, and to check up on them? Are they able to pay,
Definitely. We meet once in a week with the client. It's a relationship game. It's a trust and confidence game, because it's a mutual process. Because we give some money, they also save money with us. It's not only giving loan; they save with us. 45% of this 43 billion peso is actually coming from their pocket. Could you imagine? Poor they themselves, 45% they contributed in the system. So we give all credit to our nanais, that nanais, you have built this great organization in this country.
And
of course our staff, they are our heroes.
And just very quickly, the carts, what kind of businesses can they cater to? There's the sari-sari store, of course. What else?
Food business, basically.
Okay, food.
Food, the kakanin business, right? They will cook food within the family and will move around within the neighborhood, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Maglalako ng
I heard there's also sewing business.
Yeah,
You could
yeah.
use it for sewing
Yes,
business. Okay. Anything else? E-load.
Yeah, of course, Elod is actually building all the time.
For example, if I wanted to put up a mobile coffee shop, can I do that? Or a milk tea shop?
Yes,
perhaps?
it is also possible.
Okay.
It's
Anything
also
that's possible.
Anything it is possible.
Okay. So it's built in such a way that you can customize it to what you
Yeah,
need.
yes.
Okay. Okay.
It
Fantastic.
will depend on the nanai's interest,
Okay.
her wish.
Great to hear that you could. They could personalize it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for your time. We're gonna have to leave that there for now, but thank you so much for your time tonight. ASA Philippines, ASA Philippines Foundation President and CEO, Mr. Kamrul Taraf there.
Thank you for taking me.
Thank you, Kamrul.
We're gonna pause for a very quick one right now, but right after that, the lower house approves on final reading the resolution on economic chacha and the bill seeking to revoke SMNI's franchise. The details when we return. Keep it here.
Welcome back. You're still watching The Big Story here on One News.
Two significant bills hurdle the lower house today. These are resolution of both houses number 7, which seeks to amend economic provisions of the Constitution, and the measure that seeks to revoke the congressional franchise of SMNI, the network led by Pastor Apollo Kiboy. To give us the details on those, we have with us Marian Enriquez. Marian.
That's right, Mase. As expected, the lower house has passed on final reading today the resolution of both houses number 7, which seeks to amend restrictive economic provisions of the Constitution. The bill was passed with a final vote of 288 in favor, 8 against, and 2 abstentions. RBH7 was tackled at the plenary at around 6 in the afternoon. By adding the phrase otherwise provided by law, RBH7 targets to relax economic restrictions of the Constitution and open public utilities, schools, and advertising to foreign ownership. Constitution famer Christian Monsod had earlier warned, though, that inserting this line to constitutional provisions is dangerous, as it would make it easy to pass constitutional changes as if Congress is just passing an ordinary law. House Speaker Martin Romualdez, though, says that with the approval of RBH7, we stand on the cusp of realizing a more open and robust economy. This with a goal to boost the country's economy and create more jobs and opportunities for Filipinos. He adds that this measure could send a powerful message for foreign investors if it's ratified by the Filipino people through a plebiscite.
We stand at the cusp of realizing a more open and robust economy. This is more than just an economic imperative. It is a clarion call to action that resonates with the aspirations of the Filipino for a more prosperous and secure future.
With the House passing RBH7, the ball is now in the Senate's court, where their own version of the charter change measure, RBH6, is still pending. The House is hoping for this to be passed by the Senate once session resumed by the end of April. But of course, this measure was not passed without some pushback. The Makabayan bloc expressed opposition against the passage of RBH7, noting that Chacha is not the solution to problems faced by the nation. Here's what they said.
Tila ba minamaliit nating lubos ang kakayanan ng mga Pilipino? Talamak ang colonial mentality kung saan mistulang tinuturing na tagapagligtas ang banyaga at ang foreign direct investments.
Pangakong madaling mapako ang dala ng dayuhang kapital. Nasa interes ng big foreign corporations na huwag magdala sa atin ng makabuluhang tulong para hindi tayo makabuo ng mauunlad na pambansang industriya at manatili tayo nakasandal sa kanila.
Meanwhile, with a vote of 284 in favor, 4 against, and 4 abstentions, the House has also passed on third and final reading the bill seeking to cancel the franchise of SMNI that has the legal name Swara Sug Media Corporation. The original expiration of SMNI's franchise was initially set in 2044 after they were able to renew it in 2019. However, lawmakers pointed out that the media firm violated its franchise, including Section 10 of Republic Act 1142-2, where changes to corporate structures of the firm were made without notifying Congress. The probe into SMNI was started by the House Committee on Legislative Franchises following the airing of one of its episodes that alleged that the office of the House Speaker had a travel fund of up to 1.8 billion pesos. Must say after the passage of these measures, they will both be transmitted to the Senate. There's still no counterpart bill at the Senate for the SMNI franchise revocation, but they are now tackling the RBH6. Members of the House leadership is also calling on the Senate to hold a meeting with them over the Holy Week break so they can talk about their respective charter change measures and avoid any other legal challenges in passing the proposals. Mase.
Thanks for that update, Marian Enriquez.
Now, speaking of Kiboy, his team is now claiming there are powerful people out to persecute the pastor. Remember, there's an arrest order out for him now after he repeatedly snubbed the Senate hearings. Some senators, though, assured Kiboy that they will ensure his safety if he does decide to show up. Let me bring in of that story. Camille, what do you have for us?
Reg, one of the senators you mentioned is Senator Bato de la Rosa, who said that he is ready to accompany the Senate Sergeant of Arms once they arrest Kingdom of Jesus Christ founder Apollo Kiboy.
Kaibigan mo man si Pastor Kiboy. Alam namin sir, andyan siya para walang gulo sir. Baka pwedeng samahan mo kami sir at ikaw humarap doon para walang putukan na mangyari. I'm willing to do that. I can do that.
De la Rosa also assured Kiboy that he will make sure of his safety once he faces the Senate.
I, being a senator and a member of this of the Senate, I'm willing to provide him security. Ako mismo. Kung punta ka dito, tingnan natin kung may babaril sa'yo. Oh, dito sa Senate building. Punta ka dito. Kung andito ako, walang pwedeng makakapatay sa'yo. Walang pwedeng makakabaril sa'yo. Andito ako. Yun ang aking assurance sa kanya.
Despite earlier voicing his opposition against the contempt order, De La Rosa now explains that Kiboy's arrest is not meant to punish him, but only to have him face the allegations against him. The Senate has ordered for Kiboy's arrest after snubbing multiple hearings over supposed abuses in his church. But while De La Rosa seems to be more understanding of the idea of Kiboy being arrested, Senator Robin Padilla, another one of the pastor's supporters, say Kiboy still has the option to file a petition against the arrest order before the Supreme Court. Recall that it was Padilla who led the signature campaign to block the contempt order against Kiboy. Meanwhile, for Kiboy's legal counsel, Attorney Ferdinand Tupacio, his legal team is doing its level best to protect the pastor from violations of his rights. He adds that there are, quote, some powerful individuals who are hell-bent on persecuting him. Tupacio says Kiboy's camp is placing its full reliance on the judiciary to clear Kiboy's name. Reg, for now, the Davao City Police is still waiting for the official arrest warrants against Kiboy. There is still no information on the pastor's whereabouts. Reg?
All right, thanks so much for that update, Camille Samonte.
All right, let's move on to this topic, which has gone viral and super hot topic of late. Senator Grace Poe has renewed her call for the passage of Senate Bill number 2458, which seeks to improve animal welfare in the country. Now, all this comes after the brutal killing of a golden retriever named Kilua in Bato, Camarines Sur. Here's what Anthony Solares, Kilua's killer, had to say about the incident.
Ginawa ko lang po yung nararapat. Talagang wala na sa sarili yung aso. Lahat ng makasalubong niya, parang gusto niya pang anuhin. Yung parang gusto pang kagatin.
Wala pong history na may nakagat na po si Kilua. And again po, sabi ko, kung may in case man yun nga po na ikiklaim na nakagat, sana po pinuntahan ng owner, hindi po pinatay.
Now, speaking in the Senate, Senator Poe said that while it is up to the courts to decide on the matter, the public should be aware of laws that prohibit and punish cruel treatment of animals, particularly the Animal Cruelty Act of 1998. Now, amid the numerous reports on cruelty, neglect, and abandonment of animals, Poe said she filed Senate Bill 2458, which seeks to include mandatory animal welfare education in the primary and secondary education curriculum. The proposed revised Animal Welfare Act also creates a Barangay Animal Welfare Task Force, which will enable local officers to address the animal welfare issues with dispatch. The proposed measure will also establish standards geared towards engendering responsible pet ownership, as well as ethical behavior and accountability from all those who have control over or provide care to animals. Well, this was, I don't know if you guys saw the video, but I was literally in tears when it was my fault. I saw like a bunch of art cards on Instagram. Pumunta ako ng Facebook, hinanap ko yung video. It was terrible.
It was. Parang, at saka alam natin kasi Golden Retriever, isa siya sa friendliest, di ba, na breed ng dog. So nakakagulat na nangyari to. Although kiniklaim nga nung killer na nangangagat daw. But
You
still,
know what?
parang
Kasi
yun yung wala tayong clear SOP, protocols.
Wala,
Diba?
Tsaka wala ring evidence. I mean, there was CCTV footage where dun makikita mo lang nun na hinahabol niya yung Golden Retriever na may hawak na 2x2. To me, seeing out of context yung video, syempre maiksing part lang yun, nakita ko na lumalayo naman yung dog pero hinahabol talaga niya yung dog. Another thing is, on the side of yung si Kuya nga Solares, no, I did have Golden Retrievers before and hindi talaga sila nangangagad. But I will say, pagka I've had group mates come to the house, tinatalunan sila ng mga dogs and they're big. So maybe kung takot ka, posibleng magasgas ka ng kuko, ganon. Maybe you panicked and reacted by hitting the animal. Pero hitting it to death, I don't know. I don't know.
But I think it's very important yung pinoint out ni Senator Grace Poe na magkaroon ng task force sa local government.
Because there is a law.
Yes.
It's just not being enforced
The
properly.
thing with the law is, though, Mase, ang hirap rin talagang panagutin because kailangan yung witness pupunta sa court. I mean, it takes time, dedication, and money to file cases of animal abuse. And that's with the existing animal abuse laws or animal welfare law. And even if we update it and we change it, well and good, but for me, enforcement is still a big question mark here in the Philippines. So hindi ko alam kung may enforce ba yung law ng maigi.
And also education for ordinary people
Oh,
on
yeah.
how to handle situations like
That's
this.
very important as well.
Alright, so kaya kahapon lahat ng Instagram stories ko, puro kasama yung mga aso ko kasi I know, we're all dog lovers here. Okay, so hashtag Justice for Kilua and hashtag Justice for Erica. If you don't know what we're talking about, look it up on social media. But that's it for the show tonight.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.